Okay, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, Bahasham, Wachahakwadash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. Shalom to the overelect. Now, I want to jump into this article, dealing with what some recent news, right? It's titled, Outrage as Trump Withdraws from Key UN Climate Treaty along with dozens of international organizations. Experts decry move to leave UNFCCC as embarrassing as president orders withdrawal from 66 international groups, right? Funny number there, but all this is doing is all Trump is doing is continuously, putting that target on America's back when it comes to on a global front, right? All these other nations are already at an annoyed. They're already annoyed with America, and yet Trump is steadily egging it on, So this is Proverbs chapter 21 verse 1. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Avushai, as the rivers of water. He turneth it whithersoever he will. Whithersoever he will. So the spirit, right, the mind of the king, in which, today the king would be the president. The Lord has Trump moving the way he's moving, that has these other nations, getting more and more furious with America for his prophecy to play out, right? Because the prophecy is in the end. All these other nations, right, including America's allies, they launch missiles on America to destroy it, man. Now, scriptures speak about the knowledge of the Lord being, beyond our understanding. And the Lord shows that knowledge by how he orchestrates these events to happen, man. How he orchestrates, events to happen that have his prophecy play out. Because being the all, mighty power that he is, he can just have it to where, by the a flip of a switch, he puts it in the minds he puts it in the minds of these other nations to just up and, what, fuck this, we hate America now, let's launch missiles at it. He can do that. He has the power to do that. But to show the Lord's intelligence, he orchestrates it in a way that even we, on this earth can see it playing out. And we see that now, man. He just kidnapped a president that already riled up these other countries. And now he's talking about going, after Greenland, which is under basically the authority of Denmark, which is an ally, man. So basically going against his allies. So the Lord is showing us, the route or the way that he's having that prophecy come to pass. How he's stirring up, the beast to hate the whore, man. So let's get into this article. It reads, Donald Trump has sparked outrage by announcing the U.S. will exit the foundational international agreement to address the climate crisis, cementing the U.S.'s utter isolation from the global effort to confront dangerously escalating temperatures, right? Now, again, all Trump's doing is furthering the annoyance of America, right? That target on America is just getting broader, man. It's just getting bigger. Salakia, it's just getting bigger, and it's getting more, beautiful in the eyes of these other nations, in the eyes of these other rulers, to hit that target. In a presidential memorandum issued on Wednesday, Trump withdrew from the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC, along with 65 other organizations. Again, that number 66, It's quite the interesting number to go with. But agencies and commissions calling them contrary to the interests of the United States. Again, and really this is the Lord singling the U.S. out, man. The UNFCCC treaty forms the bedrock of international cooperation to deal with the climate crisis and has been agreed to by every country in the world since its inception 34 years ago. The U.S. Senate ratified the treaty in October 1992, right? And it's no coincidence that all of this is happening at the beginning of 2026, man. It's so clear that this is the hand of Yahweh Ba'Shem Shai. It says that every country in the world has been a part of this for 34 years. Now all of a sudden America pulls out in 2026. When all these prophecies are playing out, right? The war tensions, World War III tension is skyrocketed. Now this just happens to happen. Come on, man. This is the Lord's doing. But Trump has, however, routinely ridiculed climate science as a scam and a hoax, and has actively hobbled clean energy projects and other climate policies as president, attempting to force the U.S. and other countries to stay wedded to the fossil fuels that are driving disastrous heat waves, storms, droughts, and conflicts that imperils billions of people around the world. This is a short-sighted, embarrassing, and foolish decision, said Gina McCarthy, who was a top climate advisor to Joe Biden's White House. As the only country in the world not a part of the UNFCCC treaty, again, that singling out of America, man. The Trump administration is throwing away decades of U.S. climate change leadership and global collaboration. This administration is forfeiting our country's ability to influence trillions of dollars in investments, policies, and decisions that would have advanced our economy and protected us from costly disasters wreaking havoc on our country. Manish Babna, president of the Natural Resources Defense Council, said Trump's decision to exit the UNFCCC is an unforced error and self-defeating, as it will further hamper the U.S.'s ability to compete with China, which is increasingly dominant in the world's burgeoning clean energy technology industries. Right? It's funny that the phrase self-defeating is used because that's ultimately what America is doing. That's ultimately what Esau is doing. They don't know that. They don't realize that the steps that America is taking, singling itself out, making it itself an enemy of the world, is all biblical. It's all prophecy, because the same world that it's singling itself out from is going to be the one to destroy it. While the Trump administration is abdicating the United States of America the United States of America's global leadership, the rest of the world is continuing to shift to cleaner power sources and take climate action. Babna said the Trump administration is ceding the trillions of dollars in investment that the clean energy transition brings to nations willing to follow the science and embrace the cleanest, cheapest sources of energy, underscoring the administration's hostility to any measure to deal with a climate that is now hotter than at any point in human civilization. The White House memo also states that the U.S. will pull out from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, the UN's top climate science body, as well as an assortment of other international environmental organizations, including the International Renewable Energy Association, the International Solar Alliance, and the International Union for Conservation of Nature. Last year, Trump said the U.S. would exit the Paris climate deal, in which countries agreed to limit dangerous global heating, while the administration also declined to send a delegation to UN climate talks in Brazil. As the UNFCCC treaty was ratified by the Senate, it is unclear whether Trump can unilaterally scrap it, or whether a future president will be able to rejoin the framework without a further Senate vote. Letting this lawless move stand could shut the U.S. out of climate diplomacy forever, said Jean Su, Energy Justice Director at the Center of Biological Diversity. Right, and I had looked on the chat, right, to see if what Trump, is trying to do is legal. And this is what it basically said, right? Because what he's doing is basically, it's a international versus domestic legality. So let's read it here. Okay. Actually, here, bottom line, domestically, the U.S. president can arguably order the withdrawal from many international bodies and stop funding them, and that's how the administration is implementing it. Slovakia. Internationally, for treaties and treaty-based organizations, legal experts say unilateral withdrawal without following the treaty's own rules may be illegal under international law and subject to challenge. The situation is legally contested and unresolved in those cases, right? Because as we read here, this treaty was ratified by the Senate, so Trump can't just, as the president, up and decide to leave, or so they say, right? But continuing, Marco Rubio, the U.S. Secretary of State, said in a statement that the agreements jettisoned by the administration on Wednesday are often dominated by progressive ideology and detached from national interest. The climate crisis is, in fact, a matter of scientific consensus and is already taking a measurable and growing toll upon economies and people's lives. In the U.S., record numbers of major extreme weather disasters are forcing insurers to flee states, undermining the country's property market. Scientists have warned that global temperatures are set to breach previously agreed thresholds, which will trigger further worsened calamities. Right, and really, a lot of this climate crisis and stuff, that's the Lord. The Lord said, roughly paraphrasing, he would bring, earthquakes in diverse places, but which symbolizes, weather problems, natural disasters, so on and so forth, things of that nature. But you also got Esau and these devils, these scientists with their weather machines, man. But you can't give all the credit to them. But the climate crisis is, in fact, in the U.S., record numbers of major extreme weather disasters are forcing insurers to flee states, undermining the country's property market. Scientists have warned the global temperatures are set to breach previously agreed thresholds, which will trigger further worsened calamities. On the 1-year anniversary of the wildfires that stole dozens of lives, thousands of homes, and the sense of safety for millions as it reduced Los Angeles communities to ash, Trump is making it clear he has no interest in protecting Americans from rapidly increasing impacts on our health and safety of the worsening climate crisis, said Lauren Blackford, executive director of the Sierra Club. This is not leadership, it is cowardice. And scriptures say, roughly paraphrasing again, that the Lord will give Egypt into the hands of a cruel Lord. Right? Let's go grab that real quick. It's Isaiah 19. It's Isaiah 19 chapter 4. And the Egyptians will I give over into the hand of a cruel lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashim Abishai of hosts. Right? Let's look into this word cruel. Quashah, hard, cruel, severe, obstinate, hard, difficult, severe, fierce, intense, vehement, stubborn, stiff of neck, stiff-necked, rigorous. Stiff-necked, hard, roughly, cruel, grievous, sore, churlish, hard-hearted, heavy. Right? And that's exactly how Trump is. He doesn't give a fuck about the people, man. Al Gore, the former U.S. vice president and climate activist, told The Guardian the Trump administration has been turning its back on the climate crisis since day one, removing the United States from the Paris Agreement, dismantling America's scientific infrastructure. I don't know what's wrong with my speech right now. Curbing access to greenhouse gas emissions data, and ending essential investments in the clean energy transition. They've done this at the behest of the oil industry so that billionaires can rake in even more money while polluting our planet and endangering people in America and around the world, Gore said. Other organizations and agencies that the U.S. will quit include the Carbon Free Energy Compact, the United Nations University, the International Cotton Advisory Committee, the International Tropical Timber Organization, the Partnership for Atlantic Cooperation, the Pan American Institute for Geography and History, the International Federation of Arts Councils and Culture Agencies, and the International Lead and Zinc Study Group. The State Department said additional reviews are ongoing. Right? So there you have it. The Lord has got the spirit on Trump to basically worsen the world's views on America, man, as if it already wasn't bad. It's just, and this is the beginning of 2026, man, and look how things have already ramped up. But the Lord's doing this because it's his will that they be destroyed, right? You get the book of Proverbs chapter 16 verse 4, and it reads, Proverbs chapter 16 verse 4, the Lord Yahweh Bashim Abishai has made all things for himself, even the wicked for the day of evil. Now the wicked, right, as a people, refer according to the Bible, or the so-called white man, Esau, Edom, right? But America today would be like their capital, and so when the Lord destroys America, it basically signifies the fall of Esau, Edom, right? Their entire empire, their entire structure. Now, when you get this in the NLT, the Lord Yahweh Bashim Abishai has made everything for his own purpose, even the wicked for the day of disaster, man. Because these devils were created to be destroyed. They were created for the Lord to show his power, and to show why you shouldn't go against that power, man. Let's look into this word evil. Rai, from the root word rai, to be bad, be evil, to be displeasing, to be sad, to be injurious, be evil, to be wicked, to be evil, to do an injury or hurt, to do evil or wickedly, mischief, to break, shatter, to break, broken, to be broken, to be broken, to be broken in pieces, to be broken asunder. Right? And that's exactly what's going to happen to the wicked and to America. But it's going back. Bad, evil, bad, disagreeable, malignant, bad, unpleasant, evil, giving pain, unhappiness, misery, evil, displeasing, bad of its kind, land, water, etc., bad of value, worse than, worse, comparison, sad, unhappy, evil, hurtful, bad, unkind, vicious in disposition, bad, evil, wicked, ethically, in general, of persons, of thoughts, deeds, actions, evil, distress, misery, injury, calamity, right? So these These devils were created to be destroyed, man. They were created to be hurt, as it says down here, by Yahweh by Shema Shai. The Lord created them just so in the end he can fight and destroy them, man. That's their place in the movie as the antagonist. Let's get the book of Ecclesiasticus or Sirach, chapter 10. We start at verse 8. No, actually, let's get Sirach chapter 20. We can start at verse 8. And it reads, he that useth many words shall be abhorred, and he that taketh himself authority therein shall be hated. Right? In America, that's all they do. They take the authority upon themselves because of the power that they hold, right? And ultimately the power that they've been given from the Heavenly Father. Therein shall be hated, because that's what the Lord wanted, right? The Lord wanted them to be hated by the rest of the world, again, so that they can destroy it, man. There is a sinner that hath good success in evil things, and there is a gain that turneth to loss, right? And that's these devils through and through. They have good success in evil things, right? Case in point, they just kidnapped a fucking president of a different country, bro, and they succeeded, right? So-called, quote unquote, with zero casualties on their side. That's one hell of a success in an evil thing, if you ask me, man. And there is gain that turneth to loss, right? Because all of this evil success that they've been getting, right, it's going to turn into loss, because it's going to come back on their heads, man, because they're not, getting their success lawfully, righteously. No, right? And that scripture say, because riches are gained, roughly paraphrasing, by ill means, it's ultimately taken away. Right? Now that's in Sirach chapter 10. This is Ecclesiasticus or Sirach chapter 10. We start at verse 7. And it reads, pride is hateful before the Most High and men, and by both doth one commit iniquity. Right? That pride, man, that exceeding arrogance, so much so that they even coming against the one who created them, right? The Most High, the Maker, as we're going to read. But this is verse 8. Because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom is translated from one people to another. Right? And that's exactly what's going to happen. And in this time now, because the way these devils got the kingdom, right? And by the kingdom, I mean got this world, is going to soon be taken away and then be given to the righteous, man. Why is the earth in ashes proud? There is not a more wicked thing than a covetous man. For such an one setteth his own soul to sale, because while he liveth, he casteth away his bowels. The physician cutteth off a long disease, and he that is today a king tomorrow shall die. Right? And likening the physician unto who? Yahweh by Shema Shai, and that disease being who? Esau Edom, right? Starting with America. They have to go. Right? It has to be taken down. And in the kingdom, after these Edomites served their 1,000 years in the kingdom, the Lord is going to cut off that nation from the earth, man, because they're a disease. They're the wicked. The kingdom of heaven it's not going to be a need for the wicked anymore, right? We would have learned the lesson on this side, right? The lesson of what is wickedness and why you shouldn't be wicked, because this is what the Lord going to do to you. We've seen it and learned that lesson on this side. So in the kingdom, there's not going to be a need for that. You're just going to repay, serve as a slave to repay the shit that you've done. And then it's bye-bye with you, man. And he that is today a king, tomorrow shall die. For when a man is dead, he shall inherit creeping things, beasts, and worms. The beginning of pride is when one departed from the Most High, and his heart is turned away from his Maker, right? And that's, that was these devils at birth, man. They think that they can come up against the one who made them, the one who made all of this, and actually win, right? Complete fools. For pride is the beginning of sin, and he that hath it shall pour out abomination. Hey, what does scriptures refer to America as, man? The mother of harlots and abominations of the earth, right? Let's go grab that. This is Revelation chapter 17 verse 5. And upon her forehead was a name written, that her being the great whore, which is symbolic of America, mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth, man. Right? Because America is full of pride. It's full of Edomites, full of pride, man. They move how they want. Because of that pride, they don't think nobody can stop them, right? They got the greatest military in the world, richest country in the world. So it's just full of pride. Full of pride and confusion. So, for pride is the beginning of sin, and he that hath it shall pour out abomination. And therefore the Lord brought upon them strange calamities, and overthrew them utterly. Right? And how is the Lord going to overthrow America? Overthrow Esau? By way of thermonuclear, fire. As well as the fire in the lasers that rain down from the chariots of Yahweh Shemawashai when they return to bring this kingdom down. And let's get that in the book of Jeremiah, chapter 50, verse 31. And it reads, Behold, I am against thee, O thou most proud, saith the Lord, Yahweh Shemawashai of hosts, for thy day is come, the time that I will visit thee, and the most proud shall stumble and fall, and none shall raise him up, and I will kindle a fire in his cities, and it shall devour all round about him. Right? Let's get Revelation chapter 18 verse 8. We can start at verse 6, and it reads, Reward her even as she rewarded you. Again, that her being the great whore, America, that great city which reigneth over the kings of the earth. And double unto her, double according to her works, and the cup which she hath filled, fill to her double. How much she hath glorified herself, and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen, and am no widow, I shall see no sorrow. So again, going into that pride, man, right? They can just do what they want, when they want, and ain't nothing's gonna come to them, right? Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is the Lord, Yahweh by Shemawashai, who judges her. Right? And that fire is coming, man. And if you don't, Israelites out there who don't take heed and hearken to the Lord's word and turn back to him before it's too late, you're going to be caught in that fire. Right? And therefore the Lord brought upon them strange calamities, right? Death, mourning, famine, right? Those plagues that we just read in Revelation 18 and 8, and overthrew them utterly, man. Right? The Lord's going to utterly burn them with fire. The Lord hath cast down, and this is not, specifically speaking on America, but that's just what I'm I'm likening unto for the sake of this lesson. The Lord hath cast down the thrones of proud princes and set up the meek in their stead, right? And that's exactly what's going to happen, because we're in the time of that final leg of the Roman Empire, which is spearheaded by America. And when they come down, the Israelites, right, the righteous children of Yahweh Ba'Shem Awashai, are going to be put in place as rulers of this earth for eternity, right, forever, and that'll be in the kingdom of heaven. The second Ezra chapter 6, start at verse 7. And it reads, Then answered I and said, What shall be the parting asunder of the times? Or what shall be the end of the first, and the beginning of it that followeth? And he said unto me, From Abraham unto Isaac, when Jacob and Esau were born of him, Jacob's hand held first the heel of Esau, for Esau is the end of the world, right? And it's clear as day that we're at the end of this thing, man. So if Esau is going to be in power at the end of the world, who could that be? It has to be the so-called white man. If you're sincerely answering that question, there is no other, race of people that could be classified as Esau. And Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth, right? So at the end of this world, in which the world there would be on eon or aeon, meaning an age, as in a period of time, right? So when this world, or the time for these other nations to rule is over with, Jacob, whose name was later changed to Israel, will rule, and that'll be in the kingdom of heaven. And that's what we're waiting on, right? So that's why when we see stuff like this, right, and the US basically just fanning the flames, we get excited, right? Because salvation is nearer than when we have believed, man. So with that being said, once more, I'd like to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rakha HaKodash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and shalom to the hopeful elect.